Yeah, let's just dive right into this. Who do you think's the strongest character in the series? That's a fun question. That's the kind of question that you would ask, back when you were 10 years old watching anime. Like, who's the strongest character in Dragon Ball? Who's the strongest character in Naruto? Who's the strongest character in Bleach? Let's roll with that. I think, we're well into the One Piece story now, like over 1,100 chapters into this. Do you think the strongest character has yet to appear? Do you think Oda's going to do something like that? Like the actual strongest character that like ever existed in One Piece will show up at like the last minute, kind of like a Naruto type deal with Kaguya. I mean, maybe he'll do that, but I have a feeling he's not going to. I have a feeling like we have the characters on the board that we have now, and like, I don't know, maybe we could have an introduction of like an actual deity, like the sun god actually descends at one point as like, oh no, objectively, sun god Nika is the strongest being ever, and like there they are right there coming down from the heavens, and they just like nuke everybody with their powers. I mean, like maybe, but no, like let's go through this. Let's go through the roster here. We got a lot of contenders, right? Comment down below. Who do you think is the strongest, like objectively, right? Do you think Luffy should be, considered for that right now? Like, we have a lot of really strong characters. We got a Kainu, we got Dragon, we got Im. Now, a lot of those characters like Im and honestly even Dragon, we don't really know what they're capable of yet, but this is a fun video. We're not talking about like, well, we haven't really seen a lot of feats from Im-sama right now, so we can't really rank. No, we're just having fun with this, okay? Do you think Im is objectively the strongest character in the story right now? Im is objectively strongest character in the entire story, but has to be defeated by like multiple characters like attacking them together. So it's like Luffy and Dragon and Garp, and you get like the whole monkey family together to like punch out Im at once. Like who knows? Maybe something like that could occur. But like one-on-one, Im wins. Just decided. Like that's just how it goes. Then again, Im could also be a deity from the direction we're going there. Dragon, I mean, if he ever stops facing east, he would be a force to be reckoned with for sure. The dude can control the damn weather. So once Dragon finally gets moving, once he finally gets out of bed and has his morning coffee and is just like, all right, time for me to start the revolution. Oh, man. There's going to be so many cool attack names from him. He's going to be throwing lightning bolts like Zeus. He's going to be summoning tsunamis like Poseidon. He's going to be luring Persephones into the underworld like Hades. He's going to be insane with the powers that with Dragon is going to rot. It's going to be like the entire Greek pantheon up there, okay, when Dragon really gets serious, okay? Mark my words on that one. It's going to be insane. Okay, we haven't seen it yet, but it's fun, so we can assume the dude can control the weather. All right, he's obviously going to be top 5, like just by that alone. Okay, whether you say it's a mythical zone that he can manipulate the weather, or he has the storm fruit Logia, or some storm fruit Paramecia, or some Logia, like just the generic wind Logia, but through the wind you can kind of control like everything. No matter what way he has it, he can manipulate the wind and the storms like whenever he wants. And so, yeah, that's definitely a contender. Akainu! Technically speaking, Akainu has the highest bounty in the series right now, if you're going by the cross-guild numbers. I don't know if there's an exchange rate between cross-guild bounties and official government bounties or something like that. It's like Buggy created, it's like his cryptocurrency, Buggy coin or something for every 1 berry in the cross-guild bounty system. That's only half a berry in the world government curse. I don't know. But if you're going by that just straight numbers, it's all berries, I guess. Yeah, Akainu has 5 billion right now, which is higher than Kaido and Big Mom's and Shanks and Luffy's and Law's and Kid's and everybody's, you know what I mean? So Akainu is definitely a contender, okay? You cannot just throw out Akainu. Akainu ultimately killed Whitebeard. I mean, I know Blackbeard, like, okay. Blackbeard shot him a bunch of times with some bullets. Akainu did a lot of the heavy lifting on that one. You gotta give it to me. Akainu blasted off half of Whitebeard's face and a giant gaping hole just like right through him, okay? Akainu did like 95% of the damage to get Whitebeard to that point. He was kind of reeling, and then Blackbeard sort of just tipped him over, all right? Like, Blackbeard didn't do some crazy, like I will summon the greatest, black vortex ever and, kill Whitebeard with that. No, they just took out guns and just, like, blasted Whitebeard a shit ton of times, and that's what killed him, all right? Akainu did a lot of the heavy lifting there, so Akainu is definitely a contender there. Kizaru, I mean, after his showing at Egghead, he's certainly not weak. I don't feel like a lot of people are going to be calling Kizaru the strongest in the story, though, as of right now. Same thing with Garp. I mean, Garp's not in his prime anymore. We're talking prime Garp. This is a totally different kind of story, but it isn't prime Garp anymore. This is, Garp in his later days, where the only prime he does is prime sirloin buffet, because he's old, so old people go to buffet. I don't know where I was going with that joke, but, he's older now, right? And we've seen that even Kuzan was able to beat him. I shouldn't say even Kuzan. I mean, Kuzan's pretty strong in his own right, but I don't know. I just don't feel like Kuzan or Kizaru could be put in the category of, top of the series. And I feel like Akainu with, number one, the sheer raw destructive power that he rots with the magma fruit, but also just his personality, his drive, his almost obsession with justice to the point where he would never, I don't think, have the moment Kizaru had, where Kizaru had, the breakdown moment after Egghead. I don't think Akainu's going to get that, or if he ever does get that, it would take a lot more to get him to that point, all right? If anything, I think Akainu is just annoyed at the world government and the way they run things, but he's not at the point like Kizaru is at, okay? Aramaki. I mean, Aramaki is, he's even kind of worse than Akainu when it comes to his personality. And his devil fruit, his Logia, the forest fruit, that's also, I mean, he could basically survive being killed, to an extent. We don't really know exactly how that whole thing works, but, he could, start a battle and then plant his seed somewhere on the battlefield, and even if his physical body gets destroyed, the seed could just sprout a new version of him, and it's just I never died. I could just constantly make, clones of myself through plant life. If that's how it works, the only way to get this done would be to completely obliterate the entire surrounding battlefield. And as I bring that up, I mean, Fujitora should have enough power to destroy the planet, right? Okay, I know that was a crazy statement, right? What? I mean, I don't even, hear me out, but, where I'm going with this, right? Fujitora controls gravity. He brought a meteor from space right down onto Dressrosa, or Greenbit more specifically, but, that was just one meteor. Could he, drag down, Fujitora might be able to just grab the moon and just yank that down, and we have a Majora's Mask situation on our hands here. Fujitora might actually be the strongest, because we don't know the limits of that Zushi no Mi. Could he do that? I mean, he would die in the process. Everybody would die in the process, and he would never do that because he's not that kind of guy. But also, you got to look at it in the same way of Whitebeard, right? Sengoku straight up said, Whitebeard's fruit, the Gura no Mi, has the ability to destroy the world. Now, Whitebeard's not a contender here because he's dead. He's a corpse. He's not doing much right now. But Whitebeard could have used his ability to maybe not, destroy the world itself, crack it apart like the freaking Death Star or whatever, but he would have been at least able to, flood entire islands and cause massive earthquakes and tsunamis that would have essentially, if Whitebeard was straight up evil, straight up chaotic evil, and was just going around just bringing absolute chaos wherever he went, okay, for the sake of absolute death, actively trying to just kill everybody on the planet, right? That was Whitebeard. He could kind of get pretty far in that, you know what I mean? So their personalities are going to rein you in a little bit here. So let me change the course of direction here. If Fujitora was straight up chaotic evil, if Doflamingo had Fujitora's gravity fruit, how much damage could he deal with that? It's just a lot. If you're pulling meteors out of the sky and colliding them with the planet, there's a lot of damage there. Im is the biggest mystery out of all of them. At least we have a kind of a grasp on what Dragon can do, but Im is just Im grows big. Im has a form, a yokai form, very similar probably to the Gorosei. The Gorosei probably all get their abilities from Im. We've kind of had that confirmed because Im took the powers away from Saturn, and Saturn died. So you can assume all the powers of immortality and the summoning circles and the telepathy, maybe telekinesis, but it's more telepathy through the Gorosei. They're able to all do that because of Im. So it would stand to reason Im has those abilities too. You try to kill Im, and even Sabo tried to use the smothered mate ability to just torch Im, and Im just ate the fire. And also was caught kind of by surprise and was still able to reflexively, eat the flames from Sabo's attack. So that didn't do dick to Im. And so Im turned giant and what are you doing here? Okay, it's all right. Yeah, Imu might just be the straight up strongest. You know, we could just go with that. I haven't mentioned Shanks yet. Okay. Shanks is like, his biggest feat so far in the story is the Kamusari against Kid, but we're not talking about that. We're talking like, could Shanks defeat Imu? Could Shanks defeat Dragon? Could Shanks one-on-one defeat Kaido? Kaido might still not be dead, so I'm going to bring up Kaido and Big Mom here in a moment, because that also needs to be considered, right? Yeah, I mean, like, I always looked at Shanks as, like, the legacy of Roger. You know how, like, in Stampede, it was mentioned that Bullet was, like, the demon heir, like, he was the heir of Roger, and it's like, yeah, some guy we don't even know. Yeah, sure, that's the demon heir. No, Shanks is the heir of Roger. I mean, we've seen this. Oda even kind of talked about that a little bit in the questions he did a few months ago, where, you know, somebody asked about the Kamusari technique. Like, did Shanks learn the Kamusari directly from Roger? Like, did Roger, like, okay, Shanks, it's time to learn my signature technique now? Like, you know, Jiraiya teaching Naruto the Rasengan or some shit? Or is it more of just, like, mimicking? And the idea is that Shanks just kind of learned it from watching Roger. Like, Roger didn't specifically teach it to him. But it's not the kind of technique you can just, like, anybody can just copy. Even if you're a skilled swordsman, you're just not copying that technique, right? But Shanks is special, and he's really talented, and he was able to copy the Kamusari on that level. So it's very clear that, like, you know, Roger's heir is Shanks. But then again, you know, that brings up other questions. Like, during their time period, yeah, Roger had the higher bounty than Whitebeard, but I don't know, man. Even back in their time, to say that, like, Roger would definitively kill Whitebeard, like, Roger was absolutely, objectively, authoritatively stronger than Whitebeard, I don't think so. I think they're more comparable in level of power. You know, another comparison could be made between Mihawk and Shanks. You know, I'll tell you what, I mean, Shanks didn't lose that arm. I mean, it'd be completely different right now. Like, Shanks with 2 arms. That's the reason that Oda had to nerf him in the very first chapter of the story, right? But no, I mean, like, I would say, and this is just going off my gut feeling, and that's just what we're doing here, by the way. Like, let's not take this too serious. We're just having a bullshit kind of discussion on, like, who do you think's the strongest? I don't know. I don't think it's this guy. I'm like, all right, I think it's Shanks. I think it's Mihawk. I think Mihawk is stronger in terms of swordsmanship than Shanks. That's, like, just my gut feeling on that, just vibes. You know, if Shanks and Mihawk were going to have a duel, like, going, like back in the old days, like, right now, it would be a crazy battle. You know, the skies would be ripped asunder. Whatever island they were fighting on would be just obliterated. But I think Mihawk would emerge victorious at the end of that. That's what I think. That's what I think would happen, right? I know we've seen a lot more hockey, you know, display from Shanks and, you know, Conqueror's hockey and everything like that. We've never really seen, when has Mihawk ever seriously fought in a fight yet? Like, when has Mihawk ever been like, I'm going to give it 100% for this battle? Granted, we haven't really seen Shanks do that either. I don't think the Kamusari against Eustace was his 100%, right? I don't think that was Shanks' 100%, but I think it was closer to the 100% than we've seen Mihawk. Mihawk, even at the war, was just kind of like, I think the closest we ever got to Mihawk at, like, full power was when he launched the attack against Whitebeard. And even then, I wouldn't say he went all out on that one. He was just like, okay, Whitebeard's over there. Edward Newgate, the strongest man in the world. Mihawk's like, I want to see, all right, let's test this. Let's see where we go. So he jumps up and he uses the swing. Do you think that was like 100% what Mihawk could do right there? I don't think it was. I think the only time, you know, you're going to see Mihawk or Shanks at like 100% output is when they're in like an actual prolonged fight to the death and they're pushed up against a wall, and then that's when they're really showing the strongest moves that they could really display. I saw that as Mihawk just like, all right, I'm gonna swing my sword, and I'm gonna mean it at Whitebeard, and I want to see how far that can go. I want to see what happens, all right? And we saw what happened, ultimately. Jozu jumped in and blocked the shot, and then Mihawk was kind of like, all right, okay, whatever. And then the rest of the entire war, I mean, he was just kind of like taking out random people. Had a moment where he fought Luffy, and that little moment of observation where Luffy almost had his arms cut off. That was beast. And then he fought Vista, you know. But there was no moment there where he was fighting Vista. It was like, I will go all out against Flower Sword Vista. Yeah, I mean, Vista's not weak, but like, come on now, right? Vista's not top 5 here. All right, we're having a discussion about like who could be like top 5, top 3 in the story. All right. here are the people that I think deserve to be in that argument. You know, we got Dragon, Akainu, Im, Kaido, we got Shanks, we got Loki. I mean, maybe it's just recency bias. I mean, we just got Loki, but it was mentioned that he supposedly has the power to destroy the world. So I guess throw Loki in there too. Aramaki, Fujitora, you know. I guess those could be considered in terms of just raw physical power, just obliterate everything if they wanted to. Mihawk, obviously, he's included. Crocodile's not included. Buggy is not included. I know, it was like, oh, Buggy would take over. Of course he would, but, you know, this is serious discussion here. It's a serious bullshit, not serious, kind of serious discussion, right? Blackbeard, okay. So, Blackbeard's main strength seems to be he's good at showing up at the last minute when other people are in the middle of a battle and then doing something to get what he wants. That seems to be his main strength. You know, so like manipulation and it's like working in the shadows and things like that. His durability should not be overlooked. The fact that he could take a lot of damage. Now, the thing that people forget about this is he takes damage and he feels a lot of pain. But aside from the pain that he feels, his body is usually fine. Like Ace kind of wrecked him with all the fire attacks, and it hurt him. It was a lot of pain. But like after the end of the day, he's like he's fine kind of situation, right? So that's like a side effect of the Yami Yami no Mi. But the dude has 2 devil fruits now. He might have the ability to get more. And his body's a little weird, and we have like the multiple personality, multiple soul theory. He doesn't sleep, for instance. He can negate other devil fruit abilities by just touching them. He can absorb things into his darkness, you know? So these are very, very powerful abilities, you know? Like, but is he the strongest? I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think Blackbeard's the strongest. He's a contender. You can definitely throw him in there. I'm sure a lot of people, you know, when I asked, you know, who's the strongest in the story, I'm sure a lot of people threw out Blackbeard there. But you also got to remember, if he fights against somebody that doesn't have a devil fruit ability, so if he fought against Shanks, for instance, that main strength of like negating devil fruit abilities, that's not going to help you there, right? And this is going on the idea that like eventually at some point, Shanks and Blackbeard are going to fight again, you know, because they you know, Shanks did get the scar from Blackbeard the first time. Although that might not have been a straight up fight. That might have been more of a sneak attack. And I think the reason Shanks was kind of like put off by that was the idea that like, I did not sense him coming. He just came out of nowhere and just slashed my face. That doesn't happen. You know, I did not let my guard down. He just snuck right through my hockey and just slashed me. I think that's kind of how it went down, right? There's a lot of reasons for why Blackbeard is dangerous. But, you know, if Shanks and Blackbeard would ever fight again, I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like when that happens, because I think it is going to happen, not like if that happens, when Blackbeard and Shanks fight again, there's going to be some bullshittery at work where Blackbeard wins. It's not going to be something pulled right out of his ass, like never explained before. It's going to be more about, like, you know, Blackbeard is such an unknown quantity going into that fight that it's going to be like, Zehaha, Shanks, I got a bunch of abilities you don't even know about yet. It's going to be something like that. And I think that's the reason maybe why Shanks is like, you know, why hasn't Shanks dealt with this already? Like, if Shanks is so worried about Blackbeard, why hasn't he dealt with him already? It's like, I'm not saying he's scared. I'm saying that's like he's cautious. He's like, I don't even know what this guy is really capable of, like, fully. Like, we're not going into this battle with a full deck of cards knowing what Blackbeard is capable of. So, you know, we could go into this battle. And you know, Shanks' crew would be kind of the best crew to do that because he doesn't have a devil fruit. Beckman doesn't have a devil fruit. Yasop, Lucky Roo. There's certainly people on his crew that have devil fruits. Like Howling Gab has like that like ability, like shoot an energy beam from his mouth. So that's probably a devil fruit. But I don't think any of the top officers have devil fruits. So it'd be like the best option to go after Blackbeard, right? But he hasn't yet. And I don't think it's just because Shanks is lazy and likes to hang out and drink some booze. I think there's like other reasons there and why that hasn't happened. Going back to Kaido and Big Mom, provided they're not dead and, you know, they emerge from the magma with, you know, faces half burned off, or they're cyborg Kaido or something. You got to look at all the freaking people that it took to bring down Kaido, right? And he might not even be really dead, but like all the people, all the damage Kaido had to incur to finally bring him down. I mean, that was effort. That was Herculean effort there, okay? So, I don't know. I mean, like, well, then again, you want to see Shanks versus Kaido? I don't know. That one I actually don't know. I don't know, because Kaido tanked a lot of damage there. But Shanks is Shanks. This is why I'm not a power scaler YouTuber. I'm just throwing, it's like, hey, what about this? I don't know. Let's see. Who else? Who else do we have here? Let's talk about the Striads. I mean, sure, I'm sure a lot of people, you know what? I'm sure more than a few of you threw out Zoro. And that's fair. I'm okay with that. Like, yeah, it's like, why not? I'm not sure a lot of people would be mad about that. Zoro's not the strongest. I'm like, I don't know, guys. Have you considered the fact? Come on, it's Zoro. Hey, man, Zoro wants to be the strongest swordsman in the damn world, right? Which means at the end of the story, he's got to be stronger than Mihawk, right? Like, that has to happen if he wants to achieve his dream. Do you not want Zoro to achieve his dream? Do you not think Zoro is going to be the strongest swordsman at the end of the story? Well, that means Mihawk, he has to either be stronger than Mihawk or Mihawk has to be dead. Pick your poison. I'd rather prefer Mihawk live, because I don't want this to be a thing where at the end of the story, all the strongest badass characters die, like Shanks dies, and Mihawk dies, and Crocodile dies, and you know, Dragon dies, and all these characters die, and then like Luffy and the new generation move on. Now screw that. Screw that. Like, it's okay to have some deaths there. Like, let's say Garp dies. Okay, Garp's dead. Let's say Shanks dies. All right, but Mihawk survives. Mihawk lives on. He's still there. You know, Dragon lives on. He's there. He helps restructure the world government or whatever. That's fine. But I don't want, like, all these old guard characters to die. Rayleigh's not really a contender. You know, Rayleigh's also old. Kind of the same thing. Like, it's just like Garp, Sengoku, Rayleigh, same situation. Like, you know, they're just not in their prime anymore. So I'm sorry. You just can't seriously, I think, consider them for that. Even Kaido. Kaido was getting up into his 60s. I don't know, man. Kaido. I think peak One Piece character prime is around 50, and Kaido was almost 60. He was like 59, I think. Big Mom, I think you could kind of remove Big Mom from this. She's strong for sure, but not strongest. But yeah, Zoro in there right now. Yeah, no, he's not the strongest. I could see why you'd want him to be, and by the end of the story, certainly. Now, Luffy, Gear 5th. Gear 5th, Sun God Luffy. Let's wind back the clock a bit and say Luffy started the fight with Kaido in Gear 5th, right? Like, let's say the fight with the Scabbards didn't happen. Zoro's Dead Man's Game didn't happen. All of the combo attacks with, like, Law and Kid and Killer and all that never happened. Luffy's first fight and second fight with him, that all didn't happen. Let's just say Kaido's at full power versus Luffy. Full power, Gear 5th. Kaido does have some drinks in him. I just want to throw that out there. I don't know if that's a contributing factor, but Kaido is a little toasted when he goes into the fight. All right? You think he still wins that? I think he does. I think Luffy still wins that. I think he still does. I think it would be... I feel like the Scabbard fight really didn't do much of anything to Kaido. Nothing against the Scabbards. They tried. I mean, they tried. They went up against a giant dragon. But that didn't really deal a lot. Zoro's Dead Man's Game did do damage. He mentioned as much. But also, Kaido probably has a pretty good healing factor, right? And he had a little bit of time to rest there. Oh, Yamato, too. Yamato showed up and also fought while Luffy was knocked down, right? But you also get the impression Yamato didn't really do much damage to Kaido. And then Luffy went into his awakening and started doing a bunch of wacky stuff. And then that was actually starting to, like, throw Kaido for a loop. So I would say, I don't know. I have a feeling Luffy could probably still squeak out that victory. I think it'd be a little bit more of a difficult battle. And by the end of it, he would be like, it would, like, run it down to the wire. You know, like, he loses Gear 5, he goes back into it. Maybe he loses it again and he has to go back into it again, but he can only do that for, like literally one attack. He's like, I have to go back into it again. One more attack, and he brings him down. But, yeah, I think Luffy might still be able to squeak out that victory. Maybe you disagree. And he's like, there's no way. There's no way Gear 5 Luffy, as he is right now, is beating Kaido by himself. There's no way that's happening. I don't know, man. Gear 5 could do some weird shit. The Gorosei... I hesitate to put on here because, like, they are strong, but Luffy was still able to kind of knock them around. Same thing with Dory and Broggy. They were able to knock them around. It's just their healing and their regeneration and their immortality. That's the thing that really does it for the Gorosei. You know, like, you could do an attack to, like, completely obliterate their head, and that doesn't seem that hard to do. I mean, it would be hard for a regular person to do, but like for Luffy or Dory and Broggy to like Dory could take his sword and just crack Saturn's head like straight down. That's crazy powerful, but then just patches it back together, no big deal, right? So that's annoying. That's a problem that needs to be overcome in order to put them down for good. But does that put them like strongest in the series just because of their immortality? I guess you could look at it like that, right? Like the idea that they are kind of more, well, I mean, like strongest in the story implies that you can't kill them. And you really can't kill, as we see right now, the way that the Gorosei are. The only way that we've seen like one of them die, Saturn die, is Im takes away the power. So I guess maybe you take out Im and then their power goes away and it's like a chain effect, and then maybe you could look at that. Anybody I'm forgetting? I feel like there's somebody I'm forgetting. Hold on, let me go look at my my little wall over here. All right, like Luffy, Zoro, Kaido, Big Mom, Whitebeard, Roger, they're dead. Law, I'm sorry, I love you, Law. You're not in top 5. Boa's strong, but no. Kuma's strong, but no. Beppo, now we're talking. No. Katakuri, no. King, Weevil. Weevil's gonna be crazy strong, but no. Weevil's not gonna be that powerful. Yeah, I guess I tackled the most major characters on the board there. Oh, Chopper. Oh, I'm telling you what, Chopper though. Monster Point Sulong Chopper, if that's even a thing. Let's go with that. No. I think like Loki's going to be a focus on for right now. Like, who knows? Maybe Oda might even go that direction. Like, nope, Loki is the strongest. And it's not even close. It's by a country mile. Stronger than Shanks, stronger than Kaido. Because whatever Loki's ability is, and when he activates it and goes full power, he could literally create the end of days Armageddon. Like, it happened, like, a Ragnarok happens overnight. Like, just with his ability alone, right? It could be that strong. I know I'm not going to be able to do a good power scaling video. That's not my strength in this. So I'm like, let's just shit about it. Let's see who's strongest. I like to read your comments and see, like, who do you think constitutes the strongest in the series? And then, like, make your explanations. And, maybe we'll do a stream at one point where we go over these. We have the charity stream coming up this Saturday. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll have a segment of the charity stream where I just go through the comments here and we just look at, like, who's the strongest in the story and why. And we could talk about that and, like, look at different perspectives, Does Oda even care? That's another point. Like, does Oda, like, as he's writing the manga, sit there and really care? Like, who do I want to be the strongest in this entire story objectively? Maybe he doesn't even care. Maybe just like, yeah, there's a bunch of really powerful characters, but I'm not going to, like, narrow it down to, like, this person is the strongest. Like, maybe he's not even going to do that. That's another thing. But, shonen manga discussions. You know how it goes. All right. Well, anyway, thanks for watching. Leave your comments down below. Look forward to reading all those. Yeah, that'll be it. Teching 101 signing out. I don't have any tree facts. Sorry, forgot to get that. It's been busy the last couple of days, and we got the review coming up and then the charity stream on Saturday. So that'll be Saturday from 1 to 9. If you can make it, it'd be great. St. Jude Children's Hospital, we'll be raising money for. I do it every year. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, that'll be it then. Thanks, everybody, and go to the end screen. Signing out.